And hello, everyone, and welcome to another Neighborhood NAMS episode. My name is Nina, aka Psychofood, and again, I want to point out this is a collaboration with Favemenu, and I'm so excited because we have another virtual live stream with.
I'm Cindy Hallam from Crescendo Ice Cream.
Yes, and I'm so excited because I don't know if you guys know this, but like they have been an OGs for me, like an OG at the night market for so long, and I've been keeping my eyes on them for years now, and I'm so grateful that I actually get to talk to you like face to face and kind of just like get to know more about your story. So I'm also very thankful for you for being here today.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna start off with the first question. This is gonna be more of like the memory, but what is your story and how did your business come to be?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited, and I'm glad that like you heard about us for so long, and it kind of makes you happy, and that's kind of like one of the things that came out of this that I'm really whenever people are like, oh, I recognize the product, and so us. Well, going backwards, we started about 5 years ago at the 626 Night Market in Arcadia, the Santa Anita racetrack. And originally, we weren't planning to start as a booth. We actually were. We were just a couple of friends, and we're interested in business and food, and we were, young and just kind of having our day jobs, but having a lot of time, so kind of early in our careers. And so we were like, yeah, well, we're going to look up like what kind of store concept can we have? And, upon realizing that it's stores, brick and mortar shops are very high risk, high level of entry. So one of my friends recommended, like, oh, why don't we try the 60? At that point, I think it was about 3 years in. And they were really, that was when they kind of were very well set up, well known, and so I thought, oh, okay, like I'll just try this. I'm sorry, is it like a little staticky on your end?
No, yeah, no,
Okay.
it's okay. Yeah, I also hear it too.
Okay, well, yeah, and so basically we thought like we could test our ideas out at the night market and see what happens, and we just thought it was like a really low risk, just try it out. If anything, we're just gonna not have to invest too much into it financially. And so when we started that, it actually took a lot of work as well. And we just found that like it was such a great experience. And then from there, we not only like not only like testing out flavors, but testing out like what people wanted. And then many the competition's pretty big there, and I think it really helped us to like try to find what our niche was, right? So we originally only had our cookies and cream, vanilla, chocolate, very basic flavors, and the night market is all about like crazy things. So so our thing was like we had liquid nitrogen, and so that was kind of early on when the nitrogen craze started. So we kind of hopped onto that, and then that was we did a ice cream style or ice cream bread, which is actually a Singaporean or Southeast Asian dessert, which we put ice cream with our breads. And that was like something that even like that piece of bread was very like a lot of people were like, oh, why do I get bread? Why do I get bread? And my family is Chinese Indonesian, and we eat everything like that actually. And I found out a lot of like Filipinos as well.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, yeah, and I didn't realize like so many people like Malaysians, Singaporeans. So it's like I guess the Southeast Asian kind of Pacific
Islander kind of like South.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, and it was kind of like a little. It was really perfect for the night market because they're very into like finding these Asian niche foods. So that's kind of how we started. And then next year, you kind of have to go bigger every year at night market. And then the next year, we actually it's funny because before this we talked about OC Night Market. One of the OC Night Markets we bombed because it was cold and nobody wanted ice cream.
Oh my god!
It was really cold that day, and I think we had and we did
because it's the summertime.
Yeah, that was like a little earlier, and then we just did we were just like, oh no, and nitrogen is something like when it's gone, you can't like store it for next
it.
So what happened was around that time in like Asia, this trend called dragon breath was coming up, and everybody was asking us like, hey, do you have that like smoky treats that or something? And I kept saying, no, we don't have it. And I was like, where do I get these like there's like
where do I get these like crunchy where do I get these crunchy balls or something?
Treats? Yeah. And so I was like, no, we don't have it. And because we already prepared, like once you're in the night market, you're not going to change your concept right there. Next month we had like the 626 night market in the summer. And I was like, you know what? Like, I think a couple of weeks before, I was like, all right, we're just going to go with it and just try this out. And it blew up because we were like maybe the second business to do it at all in SoCal. So it was just after that, we got into a lot of media traffic, a lot of Instagrammers, very like Instagram worthy food kind of types of content. So that's kind of where we started gaining like a social media presence and like figuring out like where our niche was. We're like, ooh, okay, people really like colorful, really like,
they like color, they like pizzazz.
Things that you wouldn't really like eat on a daily, like, you know, like, so that's kind of, I think, what we fell into. The next year we did crazy milkshakes, and it was another thing where like it was just something you wouldn't eat like every day or like even on a normal weekend, but like, you know, you're at the night market, it's like you
want something like
so it was like
you want to have fun,
the crazier we did. Like there were things that didn't take off too. We had like these fries and ice cream concept, like that didn't do too well. So like things
fries and ice cream. I don't remember that one. That's crazy.
We took it out after like one we were trying it, because we saw some people do it in some parts of like the world. And we were like, maybe we would try. So it's kind of like, I think, a lot of mixing pot of ideas, I think, and I think it gave us like that creativity, and so basically we were just a bunch of friends that wanted to share this kind of just like fun ideas, and I think it just made us really happy to see people love it.
To experiment, to see with it. But what's cool too, like you guys were the first ones that I've seen like the dragon breath from, and then at the time there was I mean even now there's like no one who's like really doing it too. I'm grateful, so I always like look forward to it, but then dang, the night market it's been
that's kind of what really like took, and then we like from there we went on to like do some pop-up shops at some stores. So we did like collaborations at stores, like we had like 3-month pop-ups, or we just tried to get into every event we could, like basically like promotional events. We've done.
So is it like company events, like festival? I guess festivals.
Yeah, and then there would be like sometimes there'd be like celebrity media events where they're like they want you to like, like it's like whether it's like paid or like just to get your name out there. It's like really interesting, and I think one of the experiences is just like getting to be a part of these events where like my day job is a little not as, you know, meeting that many people. I'm in finance, but I think it was just like really opportunities that like we never thought we could be in. And we actually towards right before COVID, though 1 to 2 years before that, 2018 to 2019, we got really heavily into our catering side. And so we actually did a lot of weddings, birthday parties, and we somehow like we got really this big interest in the bar mitzvah space. For some reason, we got one catering, and like it just kind of snowballed because I think the kids were like, I want that. And like bar mitzvahs are like, for like those of you who don't know, they're like coming of age parties, 13 era, and so they're like they're
big.
They're bigger than any wedding I've been to. Like, it's just, they go all out. And I think the kids would see it, and we would have like the longest lines, and people were like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I think it's because it's interactive. That, you know, the kids could play with the smoke, and there's
and at least it's snackable, and it's an easy grab, you know?
And then like these parties have like 7 different desserts bars. They were coming to us because it was just like something like nitrogen is like something like they couldn't really like have on their own. So I think so that was really interesting, is we would just have like a handful of like caterings a month, and just, you know, out of that, like not really needing to have a store, and people were finding us, so that was exciting.
That's fun. And I know recently you had to close the your storefront right now, but how long did it really like take you before did you you didn't start off like brick and mortar, then you shifted to brick and mortar?
Yeah.
So like when was that time period that you did?
Yeah, so after the second year, when we kind of took off with the whole Heaven Breath situation, we had Venice. We had a spot in the Venice Boardwalk, and it was like perfect and great. Unfortunately, the contract started like towards winter time, which like seasonally is not so good. And I think just having I didn't really have like the mobility to do a lot of my own things, so it was like someone was kind of contracting us to do this at their spot. So yeah, so eventually we moved out to Montebello, which I think also we have more of a following in the 626 area, you know, the San Gabriel Valley area. So I think that was something that was easier for like our fan base to go to.
Yeah.
We had that for a couple months, and it was kind of the same thing where it wasn't our space. So I think it's hard to really like continue that just because like it's like you're still working under a landlord that is kind of controlling it. So so from then we kind of moved into night market again. Like that was already summer by then, and we just kind of focus on night market. And a lot of vendors at night market are actually like only events.
They're only they're not like brick and mortar yet. They're or either like delivery or something. Yeah.
And then from that, and then that year, that's kind of when the 2018 year where we were just booming with catering. So we were like constantly going on an event or being taken in each one. And with us having like day jobs as well, it really worked out because it's only on the weekends. And so like, I think ultimately, like I even saw like the pop-up store numbers, they're not like that much because the overhead is so high, and like actually having just events on the weekend, at least for my industry, because it's very specific to desserts, you know, people kind of
the time frame
ice cream during the day and like
and there's like there's a specific time frame for you guys too.
So you can cut a lot of overhead if you do
the whole calculations and everything. And I was gonna ask too, like have you like ever like considered like one of those like cloud kitchens or something to delivery, or like just to do like function and everything?
Yeah, that's actually something like really something that is kind of a new thing. Definitely, like I think it came up more with COVID and everything, and I think that's a concept that we definitely consider. I think would try to figure out a new concept though, like similar, but I think still like ice cream's a hard thing just to deliver.
To store and deliver too, because I know there's a lot of like there's actually a couple of people that I know from like the 626 night market, like vendors who shifted to doing like the cloud kitchen because of the main reason that there's so much like overhead costs to have the actual like storefront with the like with like waiters having like seating and stuff like that, just like added so much expense for them. And so if you think about it too, like delivery is also very like expensive too. Like deliver, like all these other apps are like charging 20 to 30%. And it's so crazy. So cloud kitchen is definitely like an alternative.
Definitely I was talking to one of the cloud kitchen people, so like that is something that was like on the horizon, but still probably not in the meantime yet, just because like I do think that the food industry is a little unstable right now.
The hospitality is very uncertain.
Unlike the other vendors, you know, they rely on this business or their own business, but you know, I'm fortunate enough to have a daytime job to supplement. So I think as for now, I would wait until a little more stability, but we are looking at in different other projects possibly, but it's right now I think everything's really up in the air. I think we just wanted to start again a little bit, see where it takes us, and see how
feel it out. I mean, we are still like in COVID too, so it's just very like uncertain on how everything is. But I definitely see like your business still doing very well too, because you are like delivery based and like catering. So I'm hoping that you guys get all the events.
I think as soon as people are very comfortable like events and like even having theaters come in, that's something I'm hoping. Like people are starting to have their weddings, and so that's a space that we really enjoy. I
didn't want to like ask like a specific question, but like what do you think are some of like your most popular like orders? Like any flavors that you have, or you can literally go through the whole menu if you want right now too, just to kind of give a feel for everyone who's gonna.
Yeah, I think like kind of our big showy item is the Heaven Breath, and not only is it because of like nitro treats, people eat it, smoke comes out of your nose, your mouth, and it's just very,
Yeah.
when I first tried it, I was like, how does it work? I'm so confused, like, you know, and so I think it's a very like wow thing, and it's very pretty in pictures. But what really kind of made it stand out was when I put like the we have a little palette, and it's like an art palette.
Yes.
And,
Yeah, like the
yeah, and they're all rainbow condensed.
Mm-hmm.
And actually all of those colors are not like just food coloring, they're all like different flavors. Like the orange is Thai tea, the blue is butterfly pea tea, and like the purple is ube. So I was like, they're all different flavors too. And it, like, although a lot of people started selling Dragon Breath after us, like nobody ever tried to recreate that, because it takes so much effort to do. Like we do like colors, and like we don't even use food coloring, and nobody really like needs to, because honestly you could just make you could make a ton on just the Heaven Breath. But I think it was something that like, because I felt like, oh, we were like one of the pioneers of it, and so I felt like I wanted to create it, and it was something that really made us stand out, because it was just so pretty. I originally used Kool-Aid for the colors.
Oh,
because I was thinking like I didn't want to use food coloring, because like I wanted it to taste different, but Kool-Aid tasted horrible. Like imagine cherry, and it was so gross. Like I had, and I was like, oh, this isn't working out, and it was just like trial and error.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we've had some crazy ice cream flavors. We did hot Cheetos ice cream. Before people started doing all the hot Cheetos things, actually, because one of my managing partners, which is my friend too, they love hot Cheetos, so they're like, we're gonna do hot Cheetos. So we did like a black sesame ice cream with hot Cheetos for a little bit, and then one of our, so I think like our flavors that is most unique would be the pink pandan.
That is my one.
Yeah.
That's the one that I got, you guys. I was going crazy over it because I love pandan, but then I've never had like pink version before. Like, how did you even come up with that? Was it just like?
Yeah, so that's actually a very popular Indonesian drink. It's just like you can find it anywhere. So they usually put it's like they usually eat it with like a coconut, real coconut fruit and coconut juice, and then with ice, and like they use that flavoring, and it's like so good, and so that's how we actually came up with that, and that's. Actually, like for me, it was like, oh, people are really enjoying this flavor, and so that's why I think no one else serves it, because it's a very like niche, like it's an Indonesian drink, which I don't think Indonesian food is like, or Indonesian cuisine has really went into mainstream yet. So it's like just like ube, I think that one we did really early on as well. Like when we first started, like people are like, oh, what is it? And Indonesians eat ube too. So I didn't realize so many Filipinos like love it. I actually didn't know. Like I knew like what halo halo was, but I didn't actually know like that's like ube. And I was like, oh, like they're so, and it was so funny because like you just find out like so many other people actually enjoy it too, or like other people are intrigued because they're like, oh, I heard this is good, or things like that. And our other flavor that is pretty popular is our matcha Oreo, because a lot of people do matcha, but the matcha and Oreo mix was like something that was kind of new.
That one was also like the other flavor that I got, and that's my beyond favorite one, because I never would have imagined Oreo with matcha, but it works so well. So I'm just so surprised. Like no one came up with this. Like, and it was only until you guys that I actually like realized. I'm like, dang, this is a good combo.
Yeah, and then like we've done it like for 5 years, and like the matcha bars only recently like came up, right? Like the last couple of years. I feel like if we were just like bigger, had more like finances, we could like really do crazy flavors. But I really credit my team. Like we have they're all my best friends. They're all like co-managing partners, and they've all like come up with these different ideas, and I think they're just things that you're like, I want to eat this, and I I never found it. And I think that's what sometimes works the best, just something that you would enjoy. Because I think if you don't enjoy it, then, you know.
You're not gonna like, you're not gonna want to get it again. But it's awesome. Like, it's memorable too. Like, dang, like these flavors that that you innovate, but then when it tastes good, that's the more worth part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah, we used to also do like we have a Bailey's ice cream, and that used to be really popular. Like we put real Baileys into it, and like I don't know how like legal it was, but at night market we were like, extra shot for extra $1, and people were like, yeah.
Let me go for it.
Yeah.
Wait, that's cool. Wait, so like, how do you even come up with all these like ideas? Do you like look like, are you just like looking what's trending, or are you looking for stuff that's like, dang, someone hasn't done this yet. Let me tap into it. Yeah. Like, how do you come up with these like flavors and designs, I guess?
I think it's a mix of it. A lot of the flavors we did have, it was like because we saw that there was nut. Like, I think that was like we started with cookies and cream because that's like everybody has to have that. And funny enough, that's still the like favorite flavor actually when it all comes. So we actually used to use like this really, we used the infused tea in it was like a passion fruit, dragon fruit, strawberry like tea that we would mix in with it. And so that was with the Oreo. We kind of like use on and off now just because like some people like it was too many ingredients for them to like it would freak them out a little for some people who aren't used to tea. But I think for like a lot of like the flavors that you're like, oh, like, you know, I know now everyone has ube and now everyone has matcha, but really like before there was not a lot of people selling it, and that's just what we found. Like
you got a niche. You gotta
and I think it was like, you know, at night market, if you're selling something that like has been around, it's hard. It's like you want to do something new. So I think it's like really mining for like ideas. I think my friends are super creative. I would give a lot of credit to them. And they're also like foodies. You know, they try out a lot of different places, and they're like, you know, I've never had this though. And so I think it's a combination of like both, like trying a lot of things, looking at so many different things, but also like saying, oh, I want to make this though.
Yeah. How many times, like, this is just like a throwing out there, but how many times did you like kind of experiment with like the combination of like ice cream? Because I know that, like, I know everyone has like a specific recipe, but and then it takes a lot of trial and error to like figure out exact like texture and then like consistency. So like, how many like times did you kind of have to experiment?
Yeah, I think that we worked on like the actual vanilla base for like a year and a half, maybe a year to year and a half. Like, and definitely that's just figuring out too what our next steps was. Like, so that was like really early on. And I think once you have that base, it's easier to like add on.
kind of.
Yeah. And then sometimes it's just like not even like, I think a lot of the best flavors we had, it wasn't like we sat there and like, what is the flavor and what's the next flavor? It would just come up out of like, oh, that would work or that would work. And so I think it was very organic in how it came about. So and how with trends, like you kind of follow like, hey, where is it going and stuff.
Where's the next big thing? But how do you even like come up with like the heaven's breath? Like I don't even know where to begin on how like the nitrogen comes about, and then also just like making those little like puff balls either. Like how do you do that?
I think it started in Korea or like some parts of Asia. And I think it's like I literally at one point like my I think I talked to you about how like I don't really have culinary background, but I'm really into food. Like before the whole like foodie movement, like I used to have really ugly pictures on Instagram and just like, oh, what is this? But I'd love to just look at new foods and something that like I never thought like to even like I wasn't thinking to make a business or anything. I just really enjoyed finding like, a new thing. We were really inspired by Ice Cream Lab. I don't know if you remember this. It's like years ago. So like I think like 7 years ago, they had this delicious blue velvet ice cream, and they were one of the first to do liquid nitrogen out here. And so we were so inspired by them. I think they also started out like really young and just as friends. And I think they like were at night market for like 1 year and things like that. And so we were we would drive all the way. It's out in Beverly Hills, and we would drive out there like on a weekday because we were like, we need to.
Like you're like avid to get it.
Yeah, so that's like one of our inspirations, and I think like we would just look up other things with nitrogen, and like people were starting to do really crazy stuff in Asia with the nitrogen. So I think that's where it started, and I saw it, and then once again, it was also with the whole customers coming up to us and asking us. Like, I think that's one of like the great benefits too of like having night markets. Like, people would come up to you. I feel like they have more access to you, and then they're like, "Hey, like, why don't you? You should have this." Or I think they know like you're not stuck in your menu, and I think they just like a lot of people try to ask me like. They'll also like throw out flavors to me. One flavor that I still have yet to have is a strawberry because everybody asks for strawberry first, or like not everybody, but there's a handful of people who are like, "Oh, I only eat strawberry." So it's yeah. So I think a lot of it is also from just like customers really. I think like that day when I told you about the OC night market where like it bombed. And so we were not busy. So people would just come up to us and ask us like questions, or like they were like, this, they would see that we'd have our nitrogen, but they were like asking about that. And so I think it was very sometimes just, customer driven, and like the demand was there, and we're like, oh, I guess why not? And so, yeah, that was kind of I don't know if I would say like we just hit gold on that.
That's so crazy to me. I'm just like, there's so many like factors, I guess, but it's kind of nice to hear like how you like because I literally wouldn't have imagined. I literally couldn't have imagined this because you hopped on the trend really fast. So like before we could even think or anyone else could think, you're already on it. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's really important to know. I think a lot of things people think about first, right? And then like I think maybe that's one of the reasons why we were able to like hop on like new trends really quickly, because like we don't have like to go through like a bunch of,
you don't have to like filter.
yeah. And so we could just do it at any moment, right? We're not like, so I think that is something to do. Unfortunately we're only like a small scale, but I think that helps with a small business, right? Because we can change things anytime we want. And I think once you like start to get into it too, like you get more creative too when you're in the space. I think like just being at night market, it's very inspiring. And you look at other vendors, or you're like, it gets you really like riled up, because you're like, look at all these like people with their like crazy ideas.
Yeah, and people at the night market, I feel like they're more willing. They're more willing to kind of like experiment, to be adventurous, I guess, with food. And so it's kind of cool, like what you were saying earlier, how they were kind of like recommending like flavors. It's that type of crowd who's so like enthused, and it's a perfect place. It's a perfect place for you guys too.
Yeah.
And this kind of like relates a little bit, tracking a little bit back from what we were talking about, like how things are now and how it is like being like a small business. But I'm gonna make this a two-part question, but like, how has your like business been doing like amidst COVID-19? But then also like, what are some of the challenges that you feel like are kind of like a recurring thing for your business?
Sure. I think it sucks because we are kind of seasonal, and right in the summer, that's when we're active, and that's when COVID was at its worst. We knew like we weren't gonna do anything.
Yeah.
And in addition, we actually had a store partnership in Texas, and then that didn't do well either, and so that actually had to close during COVID. And again, like it's really, I'm very grateful that like that's not my main source of income, but like at the same time, I work in events industry as well in my day job, so it was a lot of things going on, and I think it did give me time, I think, to process a lot of things. Because I think ever since we first started Crescendo, it was just we never stopped to really, think. And I feel like it was just like, go, go, go. And a lot of opportunities came up, and we just say, yes, yes, yes. And I think it's nice to now like think about what we really like, to actually have a structure and stable ideas to figure out. But I think it's also a nice time of finally resting, because I work, the whole weekdays, and then I work on the weekends. I think I'm hoping that I haven't hit it yet, but I hope like I get inspired to figure out some things. I think we had to come out of this pandemic bubble first, because I just didn't really feel like there's, you know, at night market, it's like really kind of luxurious items. If you think about it, it's a little pricier. So I don't feel like necessarily like it's very, if even if we were active last year, I don't feel like it was appropriate at that time to like really think of like, you know, a lot of people were struggling just to like pay their rent or something. So what we were doing for a couple months, me and another partner, she was one of those home bakers that we were talking about earlier. It's called Chacha Bakes, and she kind of just out of also boredom started baking a lot, and she would bake for her coworkers, and then just started they wanted to buy items from her, and so she just started to sell her baking goods, and so like cookies, cheesecake. And what we kind of did towards the fall time was we started our kind of self-run homeless drive, and we actually were able to give out a lot of you know, these care packages to just people in the streets, because there was also nowhere to volunteer during that time, because a lot of like with COVID, the shelters weren't really allowing volunteers, and they're very also short staffed, or they don't have enough like things to give away or food to give away. So we just wanted to give back, and like, you know what I said, even though we lost a lot of business, but I'm very fortunate to still be somewhat stable, and we were able to, you know, during that time, it didn't feel right for me to profit extra when people were like barely supporting themselves. So on my end, I donated the full proceeds to just our homeless drive, and just like different charities as well. And we actually found out like other these small home businesses that were doing it too. One of them is called Better Together Sweets. They do the banana pudding. I don't know if you've seen.
Oh, I think I've seen this. It's just banana pudding, right?
Yeah, and she also just started at home, and like she was doing a lot of this charity. Like she was also donating like some of her proceeds as well. So it was funny because like we kind of were doing that, and then we paralleled that, and we found each other, and we're like, oh, that's cool. And so we also had like collaborations like on that end. And I think that was just something that, for me, I don't know, I just didn't find like, the need to make a lot of money at that time. Yeah, it was just like, you know, just being really fortunate with having a roof over my head, and knowing that like kind of the storm. I think what I'm kind of realizing from this talk actually is like, you know, letting the storm pass and wait until, you know, clear waters and things are settled.
Yeah, and everyone is in the kind of the same boat, and so I'm sure that when we kind of return to that normalcy, it will like pick things up again. But obviously, like hoping the best for you as well. But in kind of like a lighter note, like what are you kind of like hoping for in the future? Like, do you have any specific plans? Like, I know we briefly talked beforehand about you joining the night market, or like the OC or 66 again, but like do you have any like other like ideas, like maybe even like where you would want to be featured, like events or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it's again like step by step, hoping that with the activity that goes on in the summer, that it usually gets us more of a gets us rolling to see more events, and other just people in general wanting to reach out for events. And I think for me, I would wait like maybe a year to see what really happens, to see if we want to start something. But my goal within the next, I'm hoping within 5 years, because I don't think it's like, I wouldn't like jump into it, but I do want, I've always said that like it would take me within 5 years, I would like a store still, but it depends on what the concept is. Ideally, I would love ice cream, because I just think like I love the faces on like everybody, like from little kids, like old guys, they love it. And when they see the nitrogen, oh, there's like some old guys that are, they're big dudes and they're just
They're like
playing with it. They're all excited, and it's funny because like a lot of people like they could smoke or have the vape stuff, but they're actually very excited about like
aesthetic.
and the kids love it, and like it's just I think ice cream to me is just like something where everyone enjoys, and nobody's like nobody really it can kind of like transcend a lot of like cuisines.
Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of it's one of those foods that kind of like, obviously food does bring people together, but it's like one of those like kind of sweet memory like sweet memories too, like coming together as like a family at like the end of a meal or something and just kind of holding that memory, because even like I don't know, like that's a space where you get to chill out and talk aside from just like on your table. But it's really cool. Are you thinking of like maybe expanding like flavors or anything? Or
it's definitely something. Just in the meantime, it's really hard in with nitrogen just because we make them by per order, right? So like when we're at the night market, we don't really offer much flavors just because it's really hard to change up the different bowls. But that is something that like in the future, like see how it goes, and if that is something, definitely, every day there's like a new trend. Last year I was trying to do the boba ice cream.
That is a different story. That's really hard. It's really hard too. I mean,
I tried it. I liked it, but then I got kind of tired of making the boba.
People think that boba is like a very like simple thing, but then there's a lot of like mixing you gotta do so that it doesn't stick together. That's crazy. Even like making like I guess boba cakes too. That's a lot. That's another story as well. Yeah.
I think that's just they're just, I feel like every year the thing with like desserts, it's more like trend things. I think it would be different if maybe we sold like sandwiches or we sold a rice dish. I think that those are more like of a classic, like you kind of eat the same fried chicken every time or something. But I think for desserts, there's always something new. Like I think ice cream is going to always be the staple, like because we'll always serve like our ice cream. But then I think there's always like something like it has to be something wow, right? About
kind of the standout factor.
Yeah.
Well, you guys I feel like you guys have a good grasp at least. Like you guys are 626 night market veterans, so that's why I feel like your mind is clicking, I guess, to everything.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's like I think just having, maybe because we haven't seen a lot of people lately, so I have no ideas to bounce off.
Yeah, I mean, there's like so many, like we were talking earlier for everyone before, but there was a lot of like home bakers that we were talking about on Facebook, and so we were talking how like that's kind of another little axis for small businesses or just like people in general to kind of bounce off ideas from each other. But there's a lot of people creating like really cool things, like whether it's decoration for like a little like decorated macaroon that's of like Totoro or something, or just like a different thing. It's definitely a wow factor.
Yeah, right now I'm obsessed with those, like it's a hard chocolate.
Oh yeah, the one that you have to break.
I'm like, that's something like I wish I thought of. Like
I'm sure I have confidence in you that you'll have something very similar, because everything's changing, and I know like we're all looking for like the next big dessert or the next big like food thing. But I did kind of want to ask, but did you have like any advice for people to starting to like create a business? Because for everyone who's like doesn't know, we're actually both business majors, which is awesome. But yeah, do you have any like advice for people for starting anything?
Yeah, I think that the best thing to do is like find something that you enjoy to do, because if it's going to be your side project, it's got to be something you enjoy, because why would you do it? You could just work a normal job, or you could just work anywhere. But I think you really have to be passionate about your product, because I think that would speak out. If you wouldn't like wait in line for your own product, like then I don't think other people would either, right? So I think that's like the main thing, is like having something that you're really passionate about. And then the second thing I think is just to do it. There is no guidebook like, you know, I was a business major. It doesn't tell you, they don't tell you anything about starting, like, you know, they'll tell you how to manage it once you have it, you know.
Yeah, but it doesn't tell you like how to start, how to start,
yeah,
and where to get the
you know what?
creative
Yeah,
juice.
because it's like nobody can really give you an idea. Like, and I think a lot of ideas are also built on other ideas. So I think it's like just do your research, do a lot of like, you know, looking at things. I think it's like very important to see where you could find your niche in, or what you can find the space for, or if the space is already big, but maybe you have a better idea, which a lot of people feel they do have like ideas. And the other thing is execution.
Yeah,
So I think that's the other thing of it, right? Having good product, but an idea, but if you don't execute it, someone else can take it the next day. I was going to also do pokey, doing the pokey before the pokey trend.
yeah.
And then, like, and then even to the name, I really wanted to call it Okie Pokey. And literally a month or 2 months later, this person had it. And I was like, what?
Wow.
So I really think ideas are like, I think it's really hard to have a new idea sometimes. And like, you know, you kind of have to like look at other things and like build onto it. And also like people are, you know, with now everybody's doing things so fast. So I think you have to just do it. Sometimes like even if I don't think my ice cream was that great in the beginning, honestly. We used to, yeah, and you know, like you just have to do it though. Like you have, and then you'll get better as you go. And I mean, at least you try your best. You don't like just also. It's like it was.
Don't flop. Like don't. You always have to strive for better. That's what we're saying.
Yeah. Like I think it was good. I think the ice cream was good, but it could have. It wasn't like, you know. It's always going to get better. And I think like what I mentioned to you as well, like earlier, with your whole channel and your social media presence, I think it's really cool. You know, like a lot of people are like, oh, I can do this, or I wish I had like a food channel, or a lot of people are like, I wish I started a podcast. And I think you just did it, you know. And I think it's like executing is what kind of sets you apart, because a lot of people have ideas but they don't really execute and be diligent about it, because it's just, you kind of have to wait if you don't see like, you know, we did just barely broke even our first year, and so it's like that's already kind of successful. Like, you know, a lot of people I see, they'll start their things and maybe not see like very much success in the first year. I think it just takes time, you know. Like it took us about like almost 2 years to get to find that niche that we found. And if anything, like it just keeps growing and keeps teaching you what you need to know. And that's why for me, probably like it's probably best not to like, I think from, you know, when I told you like I was going to start a store, and like that's how we wanted to start, and
right up the front.
Yeah, and I was like 25, and I was like, I knew nothing. Now that I look back, I'm like, I knew nothing, you know.
That experience.
I'm so glad I didn't waste like a lot of money.
Like, it's a lot of overhead.
Yeah, and I think but the other thing, you know, when you're young and you're starting, it's also good because you're not scared and you're like, I'm just gonna do this.
Totally ambitious.
Yeah.
Totally ambitious.
Yeah, so I was like, we were just like going at it, and I think with the time, like I think me learning everything, I'm hoping that one day it'll have something of my own in a format.
Well, man, well, I look forward to like what you're gonna do in the future, whether it's like for Crescendo or just like anything else. Like I definitely see a good mindset on you.
Thank you. You too. I really.
You're literally
you're already doing really well, and I'm pretty sure
you're doing well. You're literally me, who I would want to be like in a few years too. I'm like totally like trying to figure things out, but I'm like so like idolizing you too for being able
you have so much more time.
No, like you're good, you're perfect. That's so funny. But really, like kudos to you. Like I applaud like all your efforts, and like seeing you through the years is just amazing on how like you've been striving for. And I just really hope like everything picks back up like again, where you guys can do like more events, and obviously see you at the night market too. But just as like a closing question, because I know like we were being very like in the moment in memory, but like do you have like any message you would like to share to your loyal customers?
Yeah, I think I'm just like really grateful for like everybody I've met through it. You know, I've met so many business owners. I've met like food foodies and chefs and different
Mhm.
people in the space that are like people I would have just never met.
Mm,
Um, and just different events that we just really enjoyed being a part of. You know, having the behind the scenes to it and just
yeah,
never thinking that like, you know, it would take off that much most,
that
you know,
fast.
and I think I'm just really grateful for all the people like met along the way. You know, just like this, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet you. And
Yeah, really, yeah.
yeah, I think just hearing people say they enjoyed it or it made their day, it's why like when you get a bad review, it's really sad for the business because they really try their hardest. And
Yeah, to try to
if you
fix
don't like it,
everything.
tell them like in person.
I mean, yeah, I know. I would like honestly like hearing like reviews too. Like it's kind of like either criticism or like just like trying to make
Yeah,
it better, you know.
it's
Like, and so I think
extreme.
there's sometimes there's no filter, no filter between like criticism
Yeah,
versus like maybe what you could do better is so and so.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but it's really at the end of the day, it's like when we see people enjoy our like when we see them like face to face. That's kind of why like delivery kind of sad, like you can't really see them, but
yeah,
it's
everyone's
great
wearing a mask too.
seeing people stories, Instagram posts like when they post something. You know, like nowadays people only want to post the best things. So if you got onto someone's story that day, that's really exciting to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think just those kind of things, you know, having you I didn't know that you had been aware of us. That's like something like really exciting to hear too. So it's just hearing people say that they've heard of you before.
It's nice because
It feels like your efforts were like, oh, okay, people are seeing it.
definitely
Sometimes I
there.
feel like I'm talking to myself on Instagram.
Yeah, you know, just a single person. No, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's great. It's great. I'm glad that people like have that memory of you like over the years too. And I only wish for more people to even like see you too. But
thank
yeah.
you.
But yes, I did like wanted to mention like real quick because we did have like a small like giveaway here for everyone who obviously like stayed and watched everything too. But our two like comment winners for this evening are going to be um Susie, Susie Wong. Oh yes, hello Susie. Thank you
Oh
so
my
much.
gosh, I didn't know that. Sorry, I didn't know the comments were there. I was on
There's this comment
blank,
saying
and I was like, no one's
no,
listening.
no, no. Like, there's people been popping. Cindy's like totally amazed. But yes, congratulations, Susie, for being the first winner. And then we're gonna have our second winner as Jacqueline. Hello, Jacqueline. Thank you so much. And also, Susie and Jacqueline, don't forget to message me on DM to claim your prize, which is basically the 2 pints, because this is amazing ice cream, and I really hope you guys try their flavors, especially the pink pandan and the matcha Oreo. So thank you guys for like
Yeah.
obviously too. And if you're someone who's watching this like in a different time that's not live, don't fear because this is going to be up on my channel for the long term because we want to learn more obviously about Crescendo and Cindy and everything that she's been doing. But I did want to say thank you to Cindy for like sharing your story and giving a lot of insight too. It's very valuable, and I like I've been saying, like I only wish the best for you guys, and I hope you just continue like skyrocketing into success and everything. And I also can't wait to see you again too at the night market as well. But yes, do you have any like lasting words or anything?
No, I was gonna say I hope to meet you in person.
Yes,
When
I hope so
you're at the
too.
night market, just ask for my name, and
All right,
well,
I'll
we might not be busy.
yeah,
But, like, thank
we'll
you.
see. We'll hope. I'm crossing my fingers for that. But also, yeah, thank you to everyone who also was watching too, and I hope you enjoyed. Well, we'll see everyone later. Goodbye, everyone.